the case may be, and no, we didn't make some tackles stick at the right time.
I've got a couple here I want to just show you, and they're probably your best players, probably your best midfielders. You can see in the middle of the ground here, we've got Adam Goodes in the middle. Now, he's not sure whether he's direct opponents, Dane Swan or Pendlebury at this stage. We'll roll that vision. You can just see we go from the side-on vision to behind the goals in a moment. Swan does really well, gets our clearance, I should say, centre clearance out of the middle. Just here, we flip to the behind the goals vision, and you can see Goodes is just making his way here. Just here he is. He's making his way past Pendlebury as the Swans win that ball back at half back. Cuts to the left across there, and they hand over. Now he's Dane Swan's man, and he charges to the wing. Stevie Johnson actually pointed this out at our half-time show last weekend. You can just see there, Dane Swan stops there and allows Goodes to get in behind him, expecting that someone else will then pick him up. Doesn't happen, doesn't eventuate. He slips in behind in a really dangerous position. Dane tries to do the right thing by another midfielder up higher. Goodes gets in behind. We allow this to roll on for another 30 seconds. You can just see the space that was afforded Adam Goodes early in this game. He had a huge start to the game, 10 possessions in the first quarter, and he got the ball rolling for Sydney. Ball goes out of bounds, and in he comes now into this stoppage situation, pretty much unchecked, which I found was staggering at the time. You see here he works his way past Blair into the back of that stoppage there. And this is a bloke with incredible damage. To be able to give him that sort of space in that area there was surprising. Collingwood were good enough to win this clearance and surge the ball forward. And you'll see again as we roll the vision that he's just left alone inside that forward 50, Lynchy. And I was really, quite surprised by this. And it was alarm bells pretty much instantly as soon as this game started. Just see him here. Just a smart little kick there by Reece Shaw, who was the +1 defender more often than not. Same thing again here. We've got we've got Bolton making his way out here as we roll that vision. Sorry, it's Ben Johnson coming across to pick him up. You can see there they go one-on-one. Same sort of thing. Third man up. Collingwood win the initial clearance. Midfielders charge. Midfielders break. And Bolton makes his way back inside the forward 50 now. They've won that ball back. They're counter-attacking again through Shaw. And you just see Bolton moving down here into a really dangerous position at the top of the goal square there. Swan's the nearest midfielder. I know there's other Swans players coming down the field, and there's Dane Swan. There's other players making their way down. As we roll that vision, it just seems a lot of space forward of centre. And I think that, I'm not sure whether it was a concentration thing or that it was a fatigue issue, but he just gets to dangerous spots and was able to impact the scoreboard.
I think the first one, I think Adam rolled the dice 50-50 because he was a mid at that stage.
Yep.
And you see we had an extra mid at the stoppage and he's just gone to space. So he's rolled the dice and obviously it's a dangerous position. So a mid's role is obviously to get to where the contest is. He's taken the liberty, which is fine. So obviously there should have been a handover or someone rolled down to pick him up. So I certainly can't blame a mid at that stage because that's his role. We won the clearance. Adam then doesn't pick up any of our players, so he's actually rolling the dice 50-50. So maybe if it's in the forward 50, you could say because of the result, as far as him getting the mark, you say, well, we should have manned him up. But I don't think you can really blame the mid too much. He's rolled it. Maybe the second one, Ben Johnson was on Bolton. We saw another, I think it was Goodes coming inside 50.
Two more players out there.
So he's picked him up. I think a couple of guys who had worked hard to get to that third man hit had run over, and a couple of Swans players had stayed back. So, whether it's concentration level, whether it's... I'm not too sure. But I think a bit of it was a 50-50 on the other
Just want to show you the difference, Lynchy and Jace, how Sydney do it, and have a look at what their mindset is. And as soon as the ball's in dispute, they just have a knack of getting goal side of their immediate opponents. And you can just see here, there's a couple of things you want to keep an eye on. This is a match up here, which is Richards on Dawes down the bottom there, and Reece Shaw, you can see here, who is manned at this stage, but they do have a +1 there, an extra defender there, Sydney. Without this to roll on, Collingwood coming to the bottom of the screen. Sydney win that ball back, drive the ball inside their forward end, lose that initial possession. Have a look at the commitment here as they charge across the bottom here, and we just pause as that kick goes in. Just look at the separation. You'll see here Richards first back. His ability to get off Dawes, who's bailed on that lead. And you can see here as we roll that vision, a genuine 50-50 ball. The commitment here from Richards to go and win that contest is just amazing. And I think that intent and endeavour was obvious on the night. We paused it there just to show the numbers and the commitment by Sydney to get back first. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 8 players versus Collingwood's 5. And I think that's just their mode, and that's why I think they're such a dangerous side this week. They defend first really well.
And it's worth noting that Ted Richards has just come back on the ground then as well after hurting his ankle. So that was a courageous effort to, one, stay with Dawes, but also go back for that physical impact.
Reece Shaw, a quality player. He had 9 intercept possessions on the weekend. I just thought he was fantastic, and he's a real danger for Hawthorn this week.
Yeah, he's one that, they've added, obviously he's been there a few years, but him with Jetta, and people have said the Sydney haven't had that outside run, but I think with Jetta coming in the side, it's added the significance of Reece Shaw's speed as well, because there's another person as well. So he's very good rebounding off there.
Lewis Jetta's the one, isn't he? Let's have a look at a couple more clips. I know we've got a lot of clips tonight, Lynchy, but there's a lot to look at. You can see the ball exiting out on the top of the screen there, Sydney coming down to the bottom here. Just want to highlight a couple of matchups. This guy, this Lewis Jetta, just here, just pause it there. Lewis Jetta here, he's got Johnson on him at this stage. All this space down here, the perfect setup for Sydney. We roll this vision on. This just highlights how hard it is to mark this guy. They win the ball, Sydney. He looks like he's going to charge into that space to the bottom there. Doubles back, commits back, they use him. Every time he's out, they honour that lead. And
you could see, Johnson was desperate to stay goal side of him, getting back, which allowed him then to hit up, didn't it?
Actually, spot on. I reckon it was really good work from Johnson to actually try to not allow that dangerous position over the back.
Here's the next clip here. You can see. Now, this eventually becomes the goal we've all talked about all week, the 100-metre sprint. But as we see that throw in there, in the Collingwood forward 50, we've got a loose man here in Heath Shaw, and pretty much the rest are one-on-one. Just have a look at what happens as we roll on and the ball moves around, bounces around. A good contest inside that forward 50. Really good effort by both parties or both teams on this occasion. But just pause it there. You see these guys haven't readjusted. And that's left all this space down the bottom here that if Sydney do win it and do get that opportunity to explode with speed, there's no catching Jetta. And that's probably, I don't know whether that's a communication issue or just a breakdown through fatigue on this occasion, but it's just left all this space for Jetta just to take off. Amazing bit of play.
That's where you think there's been a breakdown in concentration or communication, Rocket, because normally you would have one defender sag off at least a half a kick behind play to act as the sweeper.
Yeah, for sure. And I think those players on the outside who aren't involved in the play haven't worked back, and you see Sydney do that consistently. I think we do that consistently as well. So I think for whatever reason these guys have actually dropped in concentration, because the dangerous ground is in the middle of the ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where they can burst. If they go wide, well, they go wide, and that's okay.
But I think the other thing you've got to do, and we saw Ben Johnson do a bit of it, you got to stay goal side and you got to keep putting body on Lewis Jetta. You got to bump him up the ground. Don't let him just get a little bit of momentum running forward with the footy. Just keep putting him off his balance, off his step. Make him look for you instead of just worrying about the ball and when he can take off. And really put some physical pressure on, because otherwise he just burns you.
He does, and I think Adelaide fell for it. We did a little bit the other night as well, and I think Hawthorn won't allow that. They'll have that +1 at some stage, and they'll be very conscious of actually blocking the dangerous space.
He's a very exciting player. We better grab a break here on Insider. When we come back, we'll have a look at the Chiefs team, the Hawks. Yes, we're going to have a good look at the Hawks up against the Crows from last weekend.